Hello, Professor. This is Kevin Hall from your Switching Systems class, and I will be discussing my design for the final project. The simulation software used in this design here is Logisim. I chose to design a 12-hour digital clock with an hour and minutes function. The section here is representation of the minutes portion of the clock, and this over here is a representation of the hours section of the clock. This here I ran tunnels from the attached tunnels to the 7-segment display up where the design is actually at, just so I can send the output over here to kind of give it a finished like look, a more cleaner look for like the final outlook of the clock, just so it's like more organized. Alright, so we'll go ahead and scroll up. Obviously you see here, as you know, it went to 9, it then pushed the hour section of the clock up to 2. Alright, so let's take a look at what we have going on here with the design. I'm going to actually reduce the size just so we can see it all on one screen. A bit too small. Okay, so for this design here, obviously we have our 7-segment displays. These are the tunnels that I was mentioning that I ran, like I said, from the input into the 7-segment display to give us that that look that we had down here. This is our decoder that gives us the logic for the 7-segment display. We have splitters, counters. We use AND gates in this design here. I also have a clock here and some NOT gates. So that's some of the components that I used in this design. I guess we'll take a look now at the decoder here. Obviously our inputs A, B, C, and D, and then our outputs A through G. Alright, and then if we go into analyze the circuit, we can take a look at our inputs, like I said again, A, B, C, and D, our outputs, and the table that I created that gives us our expressions for A through G, and our minimized expression with the Karnaugh maps format, obviously in Summa Products. Alright, so that's the logic behind the decoder. We go back to our main screen here, and we can check out the functionality again. If we wanted to change the time for the clock or input a certain time, you can do so by just inputting it in into the counter. You make sure that you're on the hand function here, and then for example, if I wanted to change the time here, I can click on the counter and input the time that I want to put in, and that's 9. Alright, so I'll put in that 9, and then I can scroll down here and I can take a look at you know, I'll see a 9 in there. Alright, so that's what we have going on for the inputs. Like if we want to change time, I believe that is all for the design here. I mentioned the devices that were used. I mentioned the decoder and the logic behind that, and I mentioned the overall concept of the tunnel. So that's the design for my project. Overall, this project was pretty enjoyable. It was a little bit tough initially, you know, just becoming familiar with the software. You know, it's a lot of issues that can happen with Logisim. You know, sometimes moving, like if you try to copy and paste a certain circuit or anything, it may give it an error. So it was definitely a learning curve, but overall it was a very enjoyable project, and I definitely learned a lot about you know, designing and also the design of a clock. And you know, obviously, you know, with the design of a clock, there's also many more functions you can include. There's many more designs that you can include, such as an alarm clock, such as obviously the second segment. You can also add a display for AM PM. So that's, you know, obviously things that can be incorporated into a further more elaborate design. But like I said, overall this was an enjoyable project, and my report will discuss more behind the design and the logic of the overall project. Thank you for your time. That is all.